Another latest episode of Lightning Latest. Happy to have you guys back. We'll be talking about a few different things today. But first off, I think kind of the most important thing is kind of a review of who's available left on the free agent market. There's still a few names out there that could be of help. Most notably, we're going to start with the centers. There were actually really only like a couple out there that could really help, but even probably only one that could truly help the Bolts right now. That would be Jack Roslovic from Carolina. He played with the Hurricanes last year. He could be inconsistent and streaky, but he's versatile to play at both wing and center. So 39 points last year, 22 of those were goals. So, he could be something that would help the third or fourth line. Remember, we're talking about bulking up those lines, right? So it's kind of important to have, more offense. The other guy that could be a possibility is Evgeny Kutsinov. He did play in Russia last year, and he's already 33. Before he went back home last year, he was already kind of in a bit of a decline, so I don't know if he would help the Bolts out at this stage, but, it's possible. I would personally stay away just because, you signed him to a deal. Well, everything he showed in Russia last year is nothing, and he's still in decline. That would kind of stink. But there's also quite a few wingers out there. Like a lot of wingers. There's still a lot of wingers out there, actually. A couple of those notable names. The Knights, Victor Olofsson, of course. He's a great shooter. He can contribute at even strength and during the power play as well. 15 goals on 29 points last year, so 14 assists as well. Would be an interesting ad because, that third or fourth line role, right, is what we're looking for. And even now, it could really be argued that the fourth line needs more help than the third line at this point. We don't want to block Connor Geeky from, doing his thing, but, it's possible Pelletier doesn't work out, or Holmberg, or any of these other depth guys we've had. So, might need to hedge some bets. Also, a couple of notable names, Luke Kunin from the Blue Jackets, 27, third or fourth line guy, so it would fit both, right? Pretty useful as a penalty killer as well. 11 goals, 18 assists last season. 18 points last season, so 7 assists. Not bad on the fourth line, right? Nikolai Kovalenko from San Jose too. He's young, 25. He's pretty competitive. And now he's just a depth level guy, but could have room to grow, right? 20 points last year, 7 goals, so nothing too crazy. But a lot of these names we're gonna talk about, you're gonna see there's reasons why they're still free agents. It's gonna be interesting to see just if any moves are made over the next few weeks before preseason starts, because we're actually 3 weeks away from preseason. The Bolts open preseason in 3 weeks on the 22nd against the Hurricanes. So should be pretty interesting to see if there's any additions before that. There's also a couple of defensemen out there. One is John Merrill he played for the Wild. 33 years old, strong stopper, lefty shooter. He can play both sides, right? It's a solid third, fourth line guy. Now, remember, we talked about the third defensive line needing some help, right, with Lilleberg and Radish. This is kind of the area I could see us making another move, especially. Another option, I'm going to probably butcher this last name, so I'm sorry. Matt Grzelcyk from Pittsburgh. I'll double check that, and if I'm wrong, I'll tell you guys in tomorrow's episode. He's on the shorter side at 5'10", but he had a career high 39 assists last year. All right, he's an excellent passer and skater. Be a pretty good fit. It's kind of funny too. 40 points, 39 of them were assists last year. He only scored the 1 goal. But hey, we got plenty of guys that can score goals. Yeah, we need more depth, but nothing wrong with a lot of assists either. That helps score goals, and that's what matters. Third possibility, and this would actually be the one I would like to see on a short-term deal, is bringing back Jan Rutta, right? So he was a pretty big part of our 2020, 2021 Stanley Cup winners. Veteran, knows how to play the game, knows our system. He's still a strong penalty killer, right? Only had 9 points last year, 3 goals, but San Jose wasn't really a beacon of, they're still quite a bit a ways into the rebuild. So, if he could play on a team like the Bolts or another contender, really come in and help contribute on that third or fourth line role, that'd be great. And honestly, he'd be a pretty good fit for what we're doing right now. Available goalies, there's a couple that could really help. James Reimer was one that was intriguing to me just because we have Johansson already. And if Johansson plays well in the preseason, then maybe we don't even need this, right? But, Reimer from Buffalo, 37 years old, still capable of being a solid 2 or 3, actually, went 10-10-2 with a 896 save percentage last year. At 36-37, that's not bad. Those two options are guys that have been starters in the recent past, but, haven't really taken that step forward. And that's Ilya Samsonov from the Knights and Alexander Georgiev from the Sharks, right? Samsonov was starting for the Capitals in the past, the Maple Leafs. He could be a strong number 2. Right? I think both him and Georgiev would be better than Johansson, just because they have so much more starting experience. But, both of them are still possibly enough to develop into actual number 1. They haven't even hit 30 yet. So, in this day and age, developing these players is also so important. So, maybe a Samsonov or Georgiev can come in for a couple of years behind Vassy and get better. So, we'll see what happens there. But we want to transition now. I'm going to talk about the coaching staff. There's not too much change. The biggest change, obviously, is the swap in assistants. But that's okay. We still got Coop in charge. He's been running the show since March 25th, 2013. So that's over 12 years. Coming up on 13 sometime this year. So, one back-to-back Stanley Cups, obviously, we know. He's had a couple of coaches hired off of his staff in the past to be head coaches, right? Derek Lalonde was one. He was hired by Detroit a few years ago. Unfortunately, he got fired last year. Jeff Blashill was just hired by the Blackhawks to be their new head coach off the staff from last year. So, pretty good fits overall. 2 of the assistants, actually 3 of the assistants under 3 of the main assistants under Coop have been with the team for at least 6 years. One of them is Jeff Halpern. He's entering his 8th season as a Bolts assistant. He played 14 years in the NHL, including 4 years with us. He helped develop many of the current stars while he was at Syracuse, actually. A lot of these guys that came up through the system, like Cooch, like Point, like Sorelli, like Chernak, like Hedman, they ought to go through the minors at some point. Most of them played under Halpern at Syracuse, so that's, a pretty good little tick there. There's a reason why he's been here for so long. He's very valued by the players and by Coop. The other guy that's been here for quite a while, Rob Zettler, 6th season as a Bolts assistant. He was an assistant with the Sharks before that, and he was also the head coach at Syracuse for a few years. So he's also very familiar with a lot of these young players. He was the head coach here from 2013 to 2016. So, it's important to have this continuity with the staff, right? But the last guy that's been here quite a while, entering his 16th season with the team, Franz Jane, the goaltending coach. Now, he's been a major reason for Vassy's success, right? He's a star pupil. He also helped train Ben Bishop, who was Vassy's predecessor. They have 6 Vezina finalist finishes between Bishop and Vassy, plus, obviously the Vezina win by Vassy. 6 All-Star game appearances between the two as well. It's safe to say he's been on the block and he knows this team pretty well. Lastly is the new assistant, Dan Hanote, which I'm actually kind of excited about. He's the replacement for Blaze Hill. This is his first season. He was the head coach of the Avalanche's AHL affiliate last year. Helped lead them to the best record in the AHL Western Conference at 43-21-5. He's been an assistant coach for the Predators and the Blue Jackets, but also he's with the U.S. hockey program in a developmental role, and that's really important because, right, we have all these young guys that are coming up that we want to try to turn into the next wave of stars, right? Like Inkalvis, like Geeky. We want to make sure that they succeed with everything they have. Getting another coach who has a development background is key for Coop. He's great at it. His assistants, as we know, are pretty good at it. Having another guy on the bench that can help with that should only help them move forward. But we're going to switch over to the defenses. I want to talk about Hetty and his partner for a second. It's interesting because at this moment, it could very well be J.J. Moser, right? We've talked about Moser a lot over the last few weeks. And, he's going to be 25 next summer. Going to be an RFA. If he plays well and continues the progression we saw last year, right? Big time extension, possibly. Now, we know people in the front office are masters of the bridge contract. But, sometimes you got to bite the bullet and give them the long-term deal right out the gate, right? Would Moser be open to that? Would he be worthy of that? I mean, if he plays well this year, absolutely. Hammond's already 34. So having a long-term partner next to him is key. Now, Chernak could definitely play that role. We know that he could do that. There's even a possibility that he plays alongside Darren Radish at some point. He's going to be with the Bolts till he's at least 38. That's what his new deal gives him. But, I think the time is now to really find that long-term, steady centerpiece to be next to him. If it's Moser this year, that's great. Because then that means when we enter free agency next summer, he should be in line for an extension. That will go along with the cap raise. Nothing wrong with that. I'd like it to be Moser. Probably will be Chernak at some points too. Possibly even Radish. But give me JJ Moser at this point. I think it's going to be him and Hammond on that front line. But we'll see. Throughout the preseason, we're going to get a good taste and see what exactly is going to happen. And I'm really excited to see just how much of a big jump JJ Moser could make this year. Y'all know I'm high on him. So I'm really excited for that. Last part, always our what if. We love to think about it. This one's going to be a little different. It's Dustin Wolf, the current Calgary Flames goalie. He's going to be an RFA next summer at 25. He's got a long time ahead of him. Here's the issue, obviously. Baxy's under contract for another 3 years and $9 million, right? Even though Wolf is in extension talks, nothing's been worked out yet. Still a possibility to be a restricted free agent. He wouldn't be the best fit unless there's two scenarios. Number one, for whatever reason, Vasi declines. I highly doubt it's going to happen. He's still 31. He still showed last year many times why he's considered to be the best goalie in the game. And it's just, even in 3 years, we're going to need to know who could replace him if he leaves, but he could stay. So the other option would be if Vasi gets hurt for quite a while, and then maybe we have to make a move. Let's not hope that happens though. But even then, if Vasi declines and we would talk to Dustin Wolf next summer, he's going to want to continue to prove he's the number one, right? Last year was his first true year as the number one for the Flames. He went 29, 16, and 8 with a .910 save percentage. It's pretty good, right? Especially for a 23, 24-year-old. If he continues to improve, he's going to be a long-term option. Hopefully it's for Calgary. That's what Calgary wants, right? I personally would love him to be a long-term option. I don't think he's going to sit behind Vasi for another 2 years while he waits for that. So, but goalie plans can change in an instant, right? If Vasi does deal with some stuff this year, who knows what happens? Maybe the Flames can't lock Wolf in. There's a lot of moving parts around it because we know that out of all positions, goalie is the scarcest. It always is. There's only one of them on the ice at one time, right? So you want somebody that's going to turn the game in your favor. We already have that in Vasi. He's already here. Dustin Wolf could be that at some point. He could be that this year for the Flames. He already showed he had a pretty good full time for a season. But for now, we got to ride with Vasi, right? 3 years, it will be fun, especially because, me, I want to advocate for a closer 1A, 1B scenario during the season so Vasi gets his rest. But Dustin Wolf wouldn't be the best fit. He needs to play every day. But we can all dream and we can all hope. Tomorrow's going to be really fun because, another what if will focus on the opposite side of the game. We're going to talk about my buddy Brandon Hagel quite a bit because I'm really excited for Hagel's season this campaign. But anyways, a lot going on tomorrow. Really excited to continue this with you guys. Few more intriguing what if trade targets too we're going to cover. So it's going to be a lot of fun. This is Jordan with Lightning Latest, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.